Hey friends, Kathryn here from Research Rockstar. Thanks for joining me today. Today I'm eager to share with you a topic of conversation. It's something that's been coming up a lot lately for me and talks with various market research and insights professionals, folks that I meet when I'm teaching classes or that I'm talking to online, or frankly, even talking to some of the consultants in our renter researcher service. I get to talk to a lot of market research professionals from various organizations, and there's definitely been a recurring theme lately. And this theme has to do with career anxiety, the feeling of stress that we may have when we think about our 5-year career path options. So, for you, when you pause to reflect on how you want your market research and insights career to evolve, to advance, say, over the next 5 years, what's your feeling? When you think about the next years of your career, are you feeling excitement, eagerness, maybe trepidation, uncertainty? Of course, the answer is all of the above. But listening to a lot of researchers lately, that trepidation or anxiety, even if it's mild, is definitely part of the career path feeling equation these days. It seems that a lot of us are feeling some level of anxiety about the future of careers related to market research and insights. Now, clearly, career anxiety is widespread in many professions. It's certainly not unique to those of us in market research and insights. And generally, what we see is there's very often an association with technology. The idea that people from very many different types of professions and career paths do feel concern about how technology might become an issue where they're going to get displaced. And this is true for folks who work in factories, who are concerned about factory automation. But I also hear this clearly in my conversations with researchers and insights professionals who are concerned about the automation, even if it's not at the factory in a factory scenario, but the automation of tasks that used to be part of their job, or increasingly automation of tasks that are part of current jobs in market research and insights. So when we talk about the concern that technology is going to displace workers, it's not just about factory workers, of course, it's about white collar workers like us. So career anxiety due to technology is widespread. We definitely know this. So it's really not surprising that many people in market research and insights do have some concern about how they are going to see the future of their careers advance given the increasing role of technology. But again, this is widespread across, frankly, all American workers. There have been a number of studies about career anxiety and technology. And this particular one example that I have here for you is from a study that Pew Research did in 2017, a very broad study, and it showed that in general, worry outweighs enthusiasm. So when they asked US adults whether or not they're enthusiastic or worried about various aspects of technology and automation on their lives and on their careers, yes, there's definitely some enthusiasm, right? There's definitely this idea that there's some cool things happening and learning opportunities, but they also found out that in all of the different measures they made that worry was greater than enthusiasm. For example, one of the statements they asked people to respond to was a statement that says, um, are they enthusiastic or worried about a future where robots and computers can do many human jobs? Well, does that apply to market research and insights? Of course. There are things that are being done increasingly by computer that we used to have to do manually. But in this Pew study of all US workers, so a really broadly representative study, still 33% were enthusiastic, but 72% were worried. So whether we're talking about market research or the population in general, clearly there's some enthusiasm, but there is also some worry. Another study that was done last year by a company called Clutch Market Research, or I think really a business research firm that I've seen reference to from time to time. They did a really cool study of 350 knowledge workers, which I thought was a great way of sort of categorizing a broad range of workers. And they also had similar results. as this Pew study where they found that, yeah, there certain attitudes are very positive about technology, that, their technology also creates opportunities for learning and for doing new things. And so there's some excitement, but again, in their study, as we see in the Pew study, there's also a lot of anxiety and concern about the impact on their jobs, their career paths, etc. By the way, I did include details about both those studies in a longer article that I've recently written on this topic. So if you're interested in learning more about the cool research that is cited here from Pew, or the really nice study that I really like from the folks over at Clutch that was specific to knowledge workers, the information and links are on the Research Rockstar site, and you can just go to researchrockstar.com/blog, and you'll see the career anxiety article there with those references to those studies. So you can see the raw data for yourself, because there's definitely a lot more to dive into. I'm just giving you a couple of the highlights. So I think we all know that people are concerned about the impact of technology, broadly and specifically people from our profession. The idea is sort of seems to feel like, yes, there is anxiety, and it does feel like it's coming largely from technology. This idea that technology is really kind of disrupting potentially market research and insights career paths. So when I'm talking to folks about this, when I'm talking to different research and insights folks, some of the things that they tell me about is that as they're thinking about their career over the next, say, 3 to 5 years, that it can be kind of stressful because it feels like there's a lot of uncertainty. How, sure, I know that technology is increasingly important, and that having technical skills will help me to future-proof a bit, well, as best as anybody can future-proof. So yeah, we see that, but there also seems to be this anxiety about the unknown. But the truth is that we actually know a lot. If we're really honest with ourselves, if we're really being objective, we know what's going on. We can see where the momentum is. And so, one of the things we've talked about in past episodes, for example, in this series, Conversations for Research Rockstars, is I've done a lot of past episodes where we've talked about career path options and how job titles and skill requirements are evolving, often evolving in a way that does include, among other things, advancing technical skills. So we do know, and we've talked before about how technology is part of the equation of how things are changing. However, the uncertainty that I feel is really out there that I'm hearing from a lot of folks is because they're getting too focused on technology, and that feels like we know technology is going to continue to change, and the rate of change seems to be accelerating. And that can make it feel like, well, how do I develop technical skills when I don't really know what the technical skills are going to be in 5 years? I see certain things changing now, but they change so fast. How do I make a career path that's supposed to be better aligned with technology trends when it's impossible to know what technologies are going to be in demand 5 years from now? But this is where I think we're falling into a trap. The changes that are happening in market research and insights career opportunities are definitely associated with technology, but technology is not why things are happening. So if we focus on technology for technology's sake, yes, that's a very short-term way of thinking, and it's hard to think about a long-term, really solid long-term career plan if we focus too much on technology. But the thing is, technology isn't taking off for technology's sake. What's really happening is that organizations, the real thing that's happening in organizations is that businesses, the C-suites that lead them, are really advancing their use of data-driven decision making. So technology is just how they're doing it at a scale that is different than we've had in the past. The real why of why our career paths are changing has to do with this. As organizations more broadly implement and seek to advance how they use data-driven decision making, obviously everybody who's part of that data ecosystem, which includes market research and insights, of course, our work is going to evolve as well. So technology is just the how of how things are of how organizations are doing this, how they're more broadly implementing data-driven decision making at scale. But what's really important to the C-suite is that they are able to plan and execute and leverage data-driven decision-making. So data-driven decision-making, seeking excellence in serving customers, seeking excellence in optimizing business operations, that's what they care about. The technology is just the how. So to get more of that longer term view, we really have to focus on what the big picture is and why organizations are so widely embracing data-driven decision making, because that's the real skill set. Technology is great. Having some technical skills, absolutely awesome. But what you really want to do is make sure that you've aligned your career plans with how organizations are now really advancing their use of data driven decision making. And not all of those skills are the technical skills. In fact, you know, if you look at articles from management consulting companies like McKinsey, they'll talk about, yes, there are technical skills that people need to have, but it's also that translation skill that's really important. So we know things are changing. I absolutely causes some stress for people in market research and insights, and technical skills are important. Technology and data-driven decision making are tightly entwined, but to future-proof our career plans, I would suggest would be best served really by thinking about how your skills and your interests and your superpowers, those things you're just really good at naturally, can be optimized or leveraged to fit into how organizations are doing decision making these days. And by the way, I'm not saying that data-driven decision making is new. Clearly, it's not. We can go back to um, sort of business management gurus and thought leaders and professors from the 1950s and 60s, like uh, Alfred Chandler's GM and DuPont studies, and of course, Drucker's early publishing as well about management and marketing measurement. So the idea of data-driven decision making has been around and very well documented since at least the 1960s. But technology is making it happen at a way that is faster and better than ever before. And sometimes it can hurt because sometimes, things that I had as part of my career for a really long time are things that are not necessarily the best way of collecting data anymore. We are increasingly aware these days, just taking the example of survey research, of the limitations of survey research, especially in a world where actual transactional and other types of behavioral data are widely available. So, yes, I love my survey research, but the truth of the matter is, I see a lot of cases where there are better sources of data for the given information need. So, it hurts, but still, I know that that's reality. I mean, that's just happening, and I have to be honest with myself about it. So, how do we, as a profession, conquer career anxiety? I do think we need to update our career plans. It's a great time to reflect on what is your 3-year plan or your 5-year plan, and how do you need to update it in a world where data-driven decision making is a top C-suite priority. Every survey you see of C-suites, of CEOs that are done by firms like KPMG and various management consulting firms, you always see that the top initiatives are about data-driven decision making and being customer-driven, right? They want to be data-driven, they want to be customer-driven. Um, so this is clearly a top priority. We see plenty of evidence of it in various ways. But it's also a world where technical skills are highly valued. So I think overemphasizing technical skills risks creating an update to the career path that may be too short-sighted, but the combination of the technical skills and the alignment with data-driven decision-making cultures, I think, is really a great place to start thinking about updates to the career path. The good news is you can update your career plan. So if you have been, as talking to a lot of research and insights folks lately, if you're one of the folks who's been feeling a little trepidation, how is my career going to evolve over the next 5 years, given all of these changes that are happening? The good news is that you can update your career plans. If you take that pause and you take that time, you're going to feel a lot less anxious. It's really that fear of the unknown that causes the anxiety. But again, if we have some pretty good ideas about how things are going to evolve over the next 5 years. And if we really reflect on them objectively, I do believe that we can update career paths to be better aligned. So even though there's been a lot of change, I think we can be honest with ourselves. And frankly, I think it's a time where we have to be brave, because so much change has happened and is happening. And I always when I think about change, one of my favorite quotes is from Charles Darwin. It's not the strongest or the most intelligent who will survive, but those who can best manage change. Folks, I hope this conversation has been useful for you. And if you are interested in the full article, I wrote a longer article on this topic on the Research Rockstar blog at researchrockstar.com/blog titled Market Research Career Anxiety. So you can check out the full article that does have those wonderful references from both Pew and Clutch in the citations. And if you did find this conversation useful, please do continue to enjoy it. It's available on YouTube as a video podcast, and it's available on iTunes as an audio podcast. Please subscribe, please review, please give likes. The more reviews and likes we get, the better the search engines on YouTube and iTunes treat us, so that I can reach a broader audience, which is always fantastic. So thanks for joining the conversation, and do check out the Research Rockstar website. We've got lots of great courses coming up, and we've got Excel for survey data analysis coming up, SPSS, we've got some report writing courses coming up, and many more. If you have any questions, please feel free to leave them here, and you can always contact me also at researchrockstar.com. Thanks, folks.